Hi, this is Timothy Zahn, author of Thrawn, and you're listening to Star Wars Reactions. Good for you.
There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?
In 1977, George Lucas formed a legacy.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
Inspired by mythology, his saga has become a passion for many.
Feel the Force around you.
His legend has become our story.
It's true. All of it.
One of resistance,
We are the spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down.
rebellion,
Rebellion is built on hope.
and redemption.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is Star Wars Reactions.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Star Wars Reactions. We're back, and we're going to have a great time with y'all today. My name is Aaron Harris, and joining me is the best co-host a guy can get, is the David Motters. David, brother, how's it going?
It's going, and I appreciate that, buddy. I feel the same way about you. That's why I've continued to do this. I know a lot of podcasts end with 5 or less episodes, but, talking Star Wars with you is awesome. That's why I'm here, and I'm ready to react and ready to cover these last 3 episodes of Visions Volume 2.
Excellent. It is going to be great. Yes, we are talking about episodes 7, 8, and 9 of the second volume of Star Wars Visions. So let's not hold anything back. Let's go ahead and jump into this discussion. We're going to start with the first episode tonight, of course, which is episode 7. This would be entitled The Bandits of Golak. Of course, released on May 4th, 2023, written by Ishan Shukla and directed by Ishan Shukla, and of course produced by the studio that produced it was 88 Pictures. This episode, of course, is about a boy and a girl, Charuk and Rani, who are being pursued by the Empire as they take the young sister, Rani, who is Force sensitive, to seek refuge in a vibrant Nava. So let's go ahead and jump into this. I have to admit, this was actually my favorite episode of season 2. I really enjoyed this one. Everything about it, just the animation, the style, the colors, the vibrancy, but just even the characters in the story being told was just so moving and so well done. Definitely my favorite. What did you think of this one, David?
Yeah, no, I apologize for interrupting you there. In fact, I was just going to jump in and just say, I remember you talking about this on Coffee with Kenobi, that it was your favorite. It's kind of, I feel like with this entire volume 2, buddy, watching all these a second time, and tonight I watched all 3 of these episodes a second time. I like each one more. Initially, this one I didn't like a whole lot, but watching it again, I'm like, oh, I like this. I still think, because you mentioned what your favorite one was, I still think my favorite is Journey to the Dark Head. And okay. Right. And that just nudges out that first one you and I covered called Sith. But like you just said, the colors, the vibrancy of those things, and just watching it again, and after, of course, listening to you talk with Dan, like I said, on Coffee with Kenobi about this, I'm like, I can see it. I think maybe my favorite part of this entire, episode was Rugal the Jedi. I just really like her. And I like her even more seeing it the second time. I love her lightsaber, and it made me think about Maul in Rebels when he was hiding it inside the cane, you know.
Yep.
But when she pulled it out, it wasn't one; it was like boom, two. I was like, whoa, and so yeah, she's my favorite part of this. There's more stuff I can talk about, but yeah, she's my favorite part of an episode. I like quite a bit more the second time around.
Oh, definitely. The more I watched this episode, the more I liked it, because it was so much in this episode. First off, we get a whole barrage of different types of creatures and aliens there on the train, then on the at the settlement too. We see a whole bunch of different creatures, which is awesome. It just, is something that we love seeing in Star Wars, or seeing the world around them, and we get to see that here. But what appealed to me the most about this episode was the relationship between brother and sister. I really loved it, because we have the brother who is trying to escort the sister. He's trying to do his best to protect her and keep her safe keep her out of harm. Knowing that she is force sensitive and everything. So he's got a huge task. But then he's doing everything to stay with her and keep her safe. But then even at the end of the episode, when he has to, in order to keep her safe, he has to let her go. To make that decision for her safety, which, obviously was a heartbreaking decision for him, but he knew it was the right decision to make, was just so moving, and just really evoked just a ton of emotion throughout this whole episode.
Well said. Yeah, well said.
Well, there are other cool things in this episode. I know you brought up the Jedi. I liked the Inquisitor. Very unique, very different. We have the Inquisitor show up at the end, who, of course, is trying to take Ronnie at that point. But which led to that really awesome lightsaber battle, which just turned into an all-out, pretty much brawl inside that studio, because he didn't show up alone. The Inquisitor showed up with some Birch troopers, and that whole fight just ensued after that, which was just really incredible to watch.
Yes.
Just the whole. He was very. This Inquisitor was very menacing. The green face just was really. It was different.
Yeah.
It really was. And I thought it was hilarious too, as they're sitting there. He's sitting there talking to Ronnie, just trying to get her to find out more and draw information out of her. Next thing you know, you see a plate of food floating over the Inquisitor's head, and it drops on him. It's like, okay. And she's like, it wasn't me. Ronnie's like, it wasn't me. And the brother's like, why'd you do that? No, it wasn't me. And all of a sudden, that's when you find out that Rugal is Jedi.
Yeah, that was cool. And you know what I just thought about when you just mentioned the Inquisitor's face being green? You know what I just tied it to? I tied it to the Wicked Witch of the West and seeing her green face in The Wizard of Oz. That's what just popped into my head when you said that. Watching it a second time, I picked up on, of course, anybody who's listened to this podcast for any period of time knows how much Aaron and I love Twilight of the Apprentice. And they had, Inquisitors in there who actually used their lightsabers as helicopters, which was kind of jarring at first. But I watched this Inquisitor, Aaron, and watched the battle again, which again is very cool lightsaber battle, not easy to choreograph or do. There's been so many, and it's hard to come up with new creative ways to do those things. But he did a slight jump, but rotated it, and it kind of, I don't know if it was his jump or the spinning double-bladed lightsaber lifting him up a little bit, but I did get a little bit of Twilight of the Apprentice vibe. Did not the first time I watched it. Again, I think that some of these little things made me like it even more. I don't. Did you happen to notice that, or am I just kind of reading too much into that? I don't know.
No, it could. I did not notice it, but it doesn't mean it's not there. I'd have to go back and rewatch it. It just may be something I just had not picked up on yet. One thing I did pick up on though too is throughout the brawl in the city, or in this little village, and the lightsaber fight, they do a lot. They do a lot of slow motion, and actually, yes, I just saw it. He did do it.
Okay. I was going to say, let me know when you see it.
Yep. Because I got it playing here in the background. And yes, he just, it was during the lightsaber fight. He kind of gets knocked down, and as he gets up, he kind of does a jump and he spins, but then the blades come out and they kind of twirl him around to a few feet away so he can regain his composure, which obviously didn't work because within 10 seconds he's killed by Rugal.
Love it. Love how she does it too. Love how she does it. Yeah.
The one other thing I want to hit on with this episode 2, of course, is that I mentioned it earlier. That Shurok has to make the decision to let his sister Ronnie leave with Rugal in order for her to be safe. And just their mode of escape was just so cool.
Oh,
just so cool.
Yeah.
With that hidden passage in the fountain. She uses a force and parts the water, and all of a sudden, boom, there's the door. And the door opens, and they go down the stairs underground to make their escape.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was really cool. But, through it all, there is one emblem, too, in this that I want to hit on, too, before we wrap up this discussion on Bandits of Golak, is to the flute.
Yeah.
We see the flute all through this episode, and it plays. It's nothing. It has literally no. I don't want to say it doesn't have an impact on the story, but it's just there. We find out it was their dad's at the beginning. We find out it's their dad's flute, and Ronnie loves playing it and she wanted to play it. And at one point she uses a force to steal it away from Shurok in order to play it. And that's what gets him in trouble on the train. But here at the end, she leaves. She descends down into the stairwell under the water and just kind of vanishes. And the water fills back up. And after about a second, he's just kind of standing there staring at the water. And all of a sudden, after a few moments, the flute pops up.
Mm.
So, yes, he's heartbroken that he let his sister go. But that flute just kind of gave him the hope that, she's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And I loved how that insignificant object, it played a important role in the episode.
Yeah. I mean, I really like that finishing touch. I think about the soothing aspect of music, and how it can bring that comfort. But I absolutely do agree with you that it plays that role of giving him hope, because he smiles, and as he walks away, he's playing it, and then it eases that pain, right, of being separated from his sister. So it gives him hope and kind of a salve to the pain. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, anything else about Bandits of Golak that you want to mention before we go forward?
No, I'm glad, I didn't put Flute in the show notes, but I'm glad you brought that up. And so I feel good about that. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, next up we have The Pit. This is the 8th episode of Volume 2 of Star Wars Visions. This was, of course, also released May 4th, 2023. This was written by Leandre Thomas and directed by Leandre Thomas and Justin Ridge.
Yes.
Of course, if you recognize that name, it's probably because you have watched the Clone Wars, you've watched Rebels, and more importantly, you've watched Resistance, as he was one of the executive producers there on Star Wars Resistance.
Yep.
So this, the studio that made this film was D'Art Chatchigio. I know I butchered that one. I apologize. Along with Lucasfilm. So Lucasfilm partnered with D'Art Chat. I'm butchering it, so I'm going to stop there. But in this episode, we meet a young prisoner named Crux, who is forced to dig for kyber in a mine by the Empire. He ends up planning an escape for him and his people trapped in the mine with him. So why don't you kick us off, David? What did you think about this episode?
Yeah. This is, oh man. I'd mentioned this. Of course, you were on Coffee with Kenobi in May. I was on in May as well. Dan had us on to cover, these various episodes. For me, I had brought up that I was reading Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. I'm close to finishing it, but not quite. But it's probably the perfect timing, to be reading that and watching this particular episode. It's kind of weird, like what are you reading at the time you watch something, or what are you listening to maybe on Audible, or what are you going through as a person when you see various, Star Wars episodes or other, IPs, other, things in culture. For me, I just can't help but thinking about Viktor Frankl and his discussion about being in a concentration camp, people being forced to work like this. I just, it just brings up the treatment of humans by other humans. And, Viktor Frankl talks about this dichotomy, and I really think about it as Crux tries to, tell people to wake up, and look, hey, there's slavery out here that is building this beautiful city that you live in. And, I've mentioned this, like I said, when I was on Coffee with Kenobi, but it's this thing that Viktor Frankl says. He says, one of the big things we've learned about humans, men and women, is this dichotomy, which is what? Humans built the gas chambers, and at the same time, humans are also the ones who walked into the gas chambers, their head held high, and they were reciting the Shema Israel, right? The Lord's Prayer. And I just can't get past it. I read it again today when I was in my office, and I thought about it again here watching this episode, that you've got people like Crux trying to do the right thing, the little girl saying, follow the light. You've got people coming out of the town trying to do the right thing, but then you also have stormtroopers in the Empire, using slavery. You know what I'm saying? And so again, brings up so much stuff. I put Wake Up in our show notes. It made me think of who is it? I'm blocking right now. He's he's a Marvel comic book writer, Ethan Sachs. There we go. That's all I need to do is just kind of jog my memory. He's done a lot of work. He did Galaxy's Edge comic for them. He's done a lot of work. He's doing the Bounty Hunter series right now, Ethan Sachs. And I saw him post about Chat GPT. Is that right?
Okay.
The writers strike right now, and even, he's of course a writer. There's a real concern about this new technology and plagiarism and do you need writers anymore, and things like that. So he posted a Twitter post that just said, wake up, but I feel like a lot of, like, I think about Ethan Sachs posting that and saying, hey, everybody, wake up. This could really destroy a lot of careers, this Chat GPT. And at the same time, I think about Crux in the city, right? Trying to tell people, wake up. There are people out here, children starving. There are people that helped build this city you're enjoying, and they're suffering. Wake up. There are problems out there. And so anyways, that's why I put that in the show notes, and I just wanted to comment on that. That saying, Aaron, like, what is it? What is it, like with a frog? You put a frog in hot water or warm water, you slowly warm it up, and it doesn't know it's,
Yep.
Wake up, frog, jump out of the water, dude. You're getting slowly cooked, right? That's another way to think about this. But I don't know. I threw all that out there. There's so many deep issues and difficult issues in this episode. We could get into race, we could get into slavery, we could get into all kinds of, we could talk for hours on this particular episode. And I think Leandre Thomas really wants people to think about these issues. But those are just a few that I thought I would throw out there. But I could talk for hours on this one. What are your thoughts, buddy?
No, definitely. Well said, my friend. No, this was a good episode as well. It very, and I like how you said it deals with some very deep and difficult issues throughout the whole episode. And I that's why it was real interesting and really appealing, is because it tackled these issues and presented these issues from a different point of view. And what I really, and one thing that was just glaring out to me in this too is when Crux does escape from the pit and he gets to the city, nobody's listening to him. He tries to stop a dozen people, and they're all just kind of, no, whatever, and not paying him a heed of attention. It wasn't until he got up on the stand and just started yelling that people actually stopped and listened to what he had to say. He's like, and it was the perfect, it was the perfect mirror image to something we see every day in real life here. As people are oblivious sometimes to the bad that's around them.
Mm-hmm.
How many times do we walk down the street or drive down the road, and there's the homeless and the needy right there asking for help, and we're on the go and we just keep driving. And this was, and to me, this just mirrored, just kind of that whole scene right there just kind of mirrored what happens every day in our lives, and I know I'm guilty of that. I'm not pointing fingers anyway. I'm just as guilty as everybody else. You get busy, you get going, and you go flying through the intersection with the guy standing on the corner with this sign asking for just a burger or something. And to me, this episode, one of the issues, that was just one of the issues that it just brought to light right to your face, and how it just really is just heartbreaking, because literally they're not far from this pit with all these people trapped inside of it. Isn't far from the city.
No,
isn't far from the city at all. They should be able, you would think they would hear the work or be able to see the work, or some of these people in the skyscrapers could look out and just see a massive hole in the ground in the distance, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
You would think this pure human curiosity would be like, I wonder what that is.
Right.
But it is just such a unique story, and it was told extremely well. Animation in this was absolutely gorgeous. beautiful animation, like in all of these, and just helped enhance the story being told.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you got me thinking about just, and this is before COVID too, in terms of culture and, there are so many needs everywhere. I'm a clinical psychologist, as most of our listeners know. I've been screaming from the rooftops, hey, do we want to put any money into mental health? I got my most recent issue of the APA Monitor, and I've used that to do psychology corners over the last couple of years, and it's a wonderful journal, but I got the brand new one, and in it you see this psychologist. I love how he described it. He says, listen, the mental health system in America is in meltdown mode. It's a massively broken system that needs so much help, so much attention. Again, I would love to see millions, billions of dollars into it. For who? Well, the American people, no matter what color your skin is, for good mental health, not just good physical health, but good mental health. It's kind of like, me yell, wake up, and listen, like, I like what you said, buddy. I point the finger at myself first. Always throw myself under the bus first, like you just did. And I'm sure there's people out there too, Aaron, are like, well, yeah, David, we need that. But there's a lot of things where I'm yelling from the rooftops, wake up to this issue in America, wake up to this issue in the world. And there's so many, and you and I understand that. And, but I think it's at least good to see this and get us thinking. And my whole thing, and you mention it, at the end of each of our episodes, which is, you're like, look for something good to do for somebody. And if we all do a little bit of that, it goes a long ways. Yeah, I think this episode ties in really nicely with, how you historically, Aaron, have been ending our episodes for quite a long time. You've been saying it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and that's why I say it, because it needs to be done. I mean, just change starts with us.
That's right.
You can't expect the world to change for you unless you're willing to start being the change. So that's definitely something that we need to do. So be the change.
That's right.
Be the change. Start with yourself. Change the world. And I will keep yelling that and preaching that. So, fabulous. Of course, heartbreaking. I mean, all the issues in this episode are heartbreaking. But there at the end, we get the heartbreaking scene where after Crux is captured in the city, the stormtroopers bring him back out to the pit and literally throw him over the ledge into the pit to where he unfortunately falls to his death, which at that point triggers the group in the pit to start chanting, follow the light, follow the light, follow the light. And all of a sudden you hear, as they're chanting that, the citizens from the city are marching down the road and coming out to the pit to see what's going on at this pit, and basically push through the stormtroopers that are there. And basically they rescue the people in the pit. Mm-hmm. They bring ships in, they get them out, they get them help. And it has you could say it has a happy ending. I would say that's a happy ending. I'm sure there's still a lot of work to do, but for the most part, they've escaped the pit and they're saved. So that definitely is happy. And then after the credits, if you stuck around till after the credits, I love the fact that they put a post-credit scene in a 15-minute short.
Yeah, they went Marvel on us. Yeah.
They did. I loved it. Which is just the little lizard that we see that actually helped Crux escape by digging hand holes for him to use to climb out. But we see this little lizard down in the pit, and it runs by where this rock where we've seen this artist painting pretty much the whole time throughout the episode. We see him painting, but we actually get to see what he painted, and it is actually pretty much a version of the poster for this episode.
Yeah.
It's got all the key characters in play in the pit, whole 9 yards. It was really cool to see. I thought that was a great ending. And yeah, that's all I got to say about the pit. Anything else for you, my friend?
Oh, I'm with you. I like how it ends. It's a nice little touch. And at the I noticed in the credits, they said special thanks to Dave Filoni and Rain Roberts. So they consulted on this episode as well. So there you go.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So we got one more episode to talk about. Before we do, though, we are going to take just a real brief break. And then we will be back to talk more Star Wars Visions. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Aaron and David here. We are discussing Star Wars Visions Volume 2. We are going to be starting our discussion now on the last episode of Volume 2. This is called Ao's song? Ao's song?
I know it's
I
guess we sound like Dory speaking Pale.
Hola, soy Dora. No, sorry.
This is one I'm not quite sure how to pronounce, so I'm with you. This is a tough one.
It's all good. We'll call her AU. I like AU. AU sounds good. AU's song. This, of course, was released May 4th, as all the other ones were, 2023. Written by Nadia Darius, Daniel Clark, and Julia Smuts-Low, and directed by Daniel Clark and Nadia Darius. And of course, the studio that produced it was named Triggerfish. In this episode, a child who longs to sing must stay quiet because her voice can cause great calamity in the mines. So basically, in this episode, you've heard of the Force lightning, you've heard of the Force push. This is all about the Force song.
Yes. I'll jump in, and I guess, again, I go back to when you were on Coffee with Kenobi. I heard you speaking about this, and I liked your argument. I know that these are not canon, right? None of the Visions, Volume 1 or Volume 2, but I don't know. It's. I guess the question is does the audience buy that the singing can change Blood Red Kyber back to its non-corrupt state, right? Do we go with that? I know that you were saying you didn't quite buy that. Am I right?
Yeah, I just have a hard time believing it. Because it just, I can't really, it's hard to explain why. I could not, the concept eludes me. Yes, I know. I mean, we talked a few moments ago about music soothing the soul, and music heals and cheers people up and changes things. Absolutely. I believe that. But at the same point, to change a corrupted kyber crystal via song, I just had a hard time buying into everything else about the episode. I enjoyed. The animation, stunningly beautiful. Probably the most colorful episode that we've had in all these season in this season was this episode. It was so colorful. The colors so vibrant, so beautiful. And then, of course, too, the big thing that I enjoyed in this episode was the relationship between father and daughter.
Definitely.
I mean, it definitely, we have the father who works hard day in and day out to provide for his family, and still trying to protect his daughter, knowing that she is special, knowing that she has this special voice, but he does everything he can for her. And and she will do anything for her dad too. I love that. She wants to love and protect her dad. And to me, their relationship was just so awesome.
Yeah, no, I really do enjoy that. I love how his name is Abba, right? But she calls him Abi, and it's very affectionate. And I'm with you. I was going to just reiterate and support what you said. Watching it again tonight, I'm like you said, the animation is gorgeous. The scenes, where they are, the mountains, the rocks, just the oh my gosh, everything's gorgeous. And then this relationship between Abi and Ayu is beautiful, and I love it from start to finish. And it's my favorite part of this particular episode, right, is their relationship. And and that, I guess like anything, right, pick out the stuff you like and really enjoy it, and let the other stuff bother you so much.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we have a unique, I guess she's a Jedi, Kratu, in this, kind of, to me, who kind of resembles Barriss Offee.
Yes, agreed.
And that just kind of makes the connection with Ayu, and knows that the Kyber calls to her. And it's really a unique situation they have, because we see that at one point in the episode, when everything kind of goes wrong, Ayu ends up singing. She ends up in a cave, ends up singing, and then, of course, the whole mountain is coming down around her. And if it wasn't for Kratu, her and her father would be dead.
Right.
She ends up landing on being on the bridge with them and using the Force to protect them the best she can. Then, of course, Ayu starts singing and amplifies the Force power that protects them even more.
Yeah.
So it's very unique. We normally see people who, it could be just another. Obviously, it's another way of using the Force, obviously, with her voice, but I mean, we're used to seeing somebody throw out their hand or close her eyes and think, get very pensive. In this case, she's just opening her mouth.
Right. I'm sitting here contemplating, I don't know. I don't want to be controversial tonight. I want to be positive tonight. Not get in trouble here and get everything fired up. But I guess I'm going to go with, it's an animated short. Enjoy it, Dave. Enjoy Kratu, whoever. I really like that character and her ship, and the father-daughter relationship, and just, kind of an emotional ending there, and her, going off into a larger galaxy with Kratu. There's a lot of names in these episodes. It's hard to know how to pronounce them, but if I was the dad, I would feel comfortable with my daughter going with her, with Kratu. Kraytu, this Jedi, and so that's exciting. That's neat, and it's really neat to see the ship just blast off, and how they ended it. Not only with that blast off, but kind of like you see Kyber. I just again watched it again. Kind of each little shard of Kyber sticking up just had a neat little glow flash, and I thought that was a nice little touch. So again, I'm going to say positive, and just say I like the ending, and I'm excited for AU and her big adventures here coming up.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely, she's got some big adventures. I'll be the first to admit this was not my favorite episode. This was probably my least favorite of the season, just because of the story. Well, let me take that back. Because of the singing, I had a hard time connecting with that. I love this. Like I said, I loved the story, but between her and her father, but the singing it pulled me out. Just trying to figure out how it would work, and it didn't. So
now I will say this: enjoyed all of these. Like I said, my favorite is just by a smidgen over Sith. The first one is Journey to the Dark Head, but consistent with you, this one also is my least favorite out of these 9 that we've covered. And I'm not talking about the animation, because like you and I said, it is gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
The colors are gorgeous. It's just the sunshine. It's just so beautiful. But it's still, there's something to say, right? Not just about how nice something looks, but what is the story? So yeah, this is my least favorite of the 9, this volume, volume 2. Yep. So I'm the same as you, buddy.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely same here. One thing I do want to mention before we go on is, of course, when they're making their escape, from the cave after AU opens her mouth and brings down a mountain. They're making their escape. They're running across a rope bridge, and the rope bridge breaks and things fall. It just reminded me of Temple of Doom. That the rope bridge scene there with the dad just kind of hanging there off the side of the hill on the rope bridge kind of just reminded me of Temple of Doom, just there a little bit. Whether it was intentional or not, I don't know, but it did.
Yeah. Well, and everybody knows that all the Indiana Jones movies just dropped yesterday, May 31st, on Disney Plus.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, along with the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. Is that right? Young Indiana?
Yes, Young Indiana Jones. Yeah, and I just started I actually started a rewatch on that yesterday, because I haven't watched them all yet. I've watched a lot of them, I've watched a couple here and there, but that was because I grew up overseas when they were airing. But I started a rewatch, started with episode 1. I'm going to watch all the way through, and then I'll go back and watch the movies. I'm so excited to have Dr. Jones on. She's a good old short round. I love that kid. But yeah, so there we go. Anything else we want to say about AU's song before we move forward?
No more from me. No, I really like what we covered. There's more. You can cover more in all 3 of these, but I think we did a pretty good job covering the bulk of stuff. Yeah.
I think so. It was definitely a good episode, a good season of Visions, and it was awesome. Definitely, we would love to hear from you and hear what you think about Visions overall, what you thought of this season. You can hit us up on any of our social medias. We are on Facebook and Twitter at SW Reactions Pod. Then, of course, Instagram and Pinterest, and, of course, Tumblr at SW Reactions. You can hit us up there and let us know, or you can always email us, swreactions@gmail.com as well. Speaking of email, we got an email from our good friend Joe Taylor, who wrote in wanting to a little late but wanted to talk about Return of the Jedi. So I wanted to share this with us real quick. Joe said, I first saw the movie on a recorded TV broadcast on VHS in the mid 80s. I wore those tapes out like everyone else did. Jedi may be my fifth favorite movie. Sorry, fellas.
Okay.
It's all good, Joe. It's all good.
Yeah.
A favorite scene is also in the beginning of the Luke battle with Jabba's henchmen at the Pit of Carkoon. Seeing Luke catching the lightsaber and igniting it. Yeah, I told you, that's a great scene. And igniting it and seeing the bright green blade. And this ties into one of my memories of his brother and best friend acting out that scene and making me play R2D2, of course. Another memory I have is my new roommate watching the re-release in 97 in the theater after I moved to Phoenix. He had never seen any of the Star Wars movies for religious reasons, but was willing to go with me, which was cool. My favorite track is the much maligned Jedi Rocks, and that's because of the horn section. I play trumpet, so my other favorite would be anything that features a brass section in the orchestra. If you get perfect, and of course he goes on to say that if we ever do a podcast episode discussing Revenge of the Sith, to let him know he has many thoughts on that film. It is his favorite of the 11 Star Wars films. And of course, closes out with, remember the Force will be with you always. Nice. And for the record, if you don't know Joe, Joe's an awesome guy. Big fan of R2D2. Love it. Big R2 fan. So that's why I kind of cracked up a little bit when he said that his brother and brother's friend made him play R2D2. That just kind of cracked me up a little bit because I know how much he loves R2. So
yeah, that's really cool. I'm so glad he emailed in and said that and talked about what he liked and Jedi Rocks. I could see the clip in the 1997 edition and. That's really cool. I'm glad he wrote in, and yeah, if we cover that, buddy, we got to have Joe on.
Absolutely, we'll have to look at we'll have to plan something out there. But yeah, great. Thanks for writing in, Joe. Love you, brother. Thanks for sending that in, and of course, everybody else, jump in, be a part of the conversation. We'd love to hear from y'all as well. So.
Nice.
All right. David, if somebody wants to talk Star Wars with you, my friend, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah. One is Twitter. And of course, it hasn't changed. It's at David_Modders, Modders. And the other is Instagram. And you just look up my name, David Modders. And just like I said in last week's episode, I will have posted some pictures there. I'm trying to do better. I'm still a neophyte when it comes to Instagram, but I posted pictures of some of my original Return of the Jedi memorabilia, including that cardboard standee, and of course an original Rancor, original speeder bike, and original sand skiff there that you see Luke ignite his green lightsaber on. So I hope people enjoyed those. I got some really good responses, a lot of likes, and a few people commenting that they wish they still had those toys, right, buddy?
Yep.
Yeah. Dennis Keithley from Podcast Stardust wished he had some of those still, and I said, oh, absolutely. There's a number of Star Wars Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi toys I wish I still had. Oh, So yes. So definitely check those out. I'm trying to do better. Like I said, I keep trying, and hopefully people like them, and we'll go from there. How about that? How about you, buddy? How do they get a hold of you?
Well, the best way to get a hold of me is via Twitter at TAHarris121079. You can hit me up there, discuss Star Wars or anything you want to. We'll be always around for a good chat. So, all right. So, David, you know what that means.
Uh-oh.
It's that time of show where everybody tunes out because it's the dad joke of the week.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, that's right. It's time for my Star Wars dad joke of the week. In the show the same way each week, so we got to keep it going. So let's get this. You ready, David?
I'm ready.
All right. Why doesn't anyone ever want to play poker with Darth Vader?
Ooh. Why doesn't anyone ever want to play poker with Darth Vader?
Because he keeps altering the deal.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one.
He keeps altering the
deal.
deal.
Clever. Versus a dad joke, which is a groaner.
Keeps altering the deal. Yeah, well, problem is the deal keeps getting worse by the minute.
That's right.
David, my friend, this has been a blast.
Oh man, we did really well, man. We got through it and covered all these, and it's we did a good job. Had fun with it.
Absolutely. It has been a blast. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you that hang out with us each week. Y'all are the best. We love y'all. We're praying for y'all. Stay safe and do some good. God, like we said earlier, change the world and start with you. Only way the world's going to get better is if we start changing it one step at a time. So let's take a step, be kind to somebody, make that change. It'll definitely make things a lot better for you. Remember, this is your place for elegant discussion for a more civilized age.
If you'd like to share your thoughts, you can email us at show@starwarsreactions.com for our show notes and the latest news from the Star Wars universe. Visit our website at www.starwarsreactions.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWReactionsPod or on Facebook at Star Wars Reactions. If you enjoy our show, please leave a review on iTunes. This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or by Lucasfilm Limited. It's intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars. All names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and the respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Star Wars Reactions unless otherwise indicated. Star Wars Reactions. Elegant discussion for a more civilized age.